By the way, here's another story the corporate news media is ignoring at our own peril. It could be an auto loan crisis in the works, very similar to the subprime mortgage crisis that triggered the 2008 meltdown. Now, look at this chart. I'm going to put something up for you, all right? Delinquent car loans are way up. That's the bottom line. But now look at the top line. See the top line there? It shows how many of those loans were subprime loans. In other words, people who were given loans despite the fact that their credit score was somewhere between 300 and 600 or 599, right? Here's some more numbers. 1/5 today of all the loans in America are given to buyers whose income was inflated. The amount Americans are financing is way to an average of $32,000, and the average length of the loan these days is also way up to 5.5 years. Joining us now is, I think, one of the smartest economists that we have on the air. Dr. Richard Wolff has, among other things, something called the Economic Update. You should Google it, and you can find out for yourself whether you think he's a smart guy or not. He's joining us now to talk about the situation with the what appears to be another subprime crisis in the making with car loans. The numbers are staggering. When you look at this, you see that there are way more loans that have been put out, and of those, many of those are subprime loans. In other words, you're giving them to people who don't make enough money to pay it off. What's going on, Dr. Wolff?
Well, I think you're seeing the slow building of a crisis like the last subprime. Then it was mortgages in the years building up to 2008. Now it's auto loans. And by the way, if you want to be scared even more, take a look at a larger collection of loans, college loans, where the default ratios now are in the 10 to 11% range, which is unsustainable. You've loaded up college students with levels of debt they know they can never repay, given what they can earn and the jobs they can get. So you're seeing a desperate working class that has to have an education to get a job and has to have a car to keep a job, having to do what you have to do if the job you have doesn't give you the wages those jobs once did. You have to borrow, and that's not a sustainable arrangement. But you can't keep borrowing more and more when the underlying wage, which is how you repay the debt, isn't going anywhere. And that's the irreducible dilemma here.
Let's talk about this in comparison to what happened back in 2008, because I think sometimes we almost have to be rudimentary in our explanation of this so we can all really understand it. So a guy like you or me goes to buy a car, but we only make $400 or $500 a month, but the guy sells us a car that's a $700 payment that he knows we can't make. He doesn't care. The bank has to deal with it, even though the information you gave to the bank is not true about this guy's real income. Then that bank sells it to another bank, and then sells it to another bank, and then sells it to another bank. This is where this kind of thing can blow up in the end, right?
Absolutely, and you make it sweet because you basically are telling each of the investors who buys this debt that I'll give it to you a little bit cheaper, so it now is really attractive because the poor guy at the end who has to make the payments, and we don't really care because if he doesn't, we'll we'll take it from him, we'll repossess it, we'll sell it all again, and you know what? We'll lend again to the new buyer. This is a pyramid scheme. It's not really very sophisticated, and like all pyramid schemes, sooner or later, somebody has to pay, and that's when people lose their cars and investors lose their shirts.
We thank you, sir, for taking time to take us through this as usual.
My pleasure. Thank you, Rick.
So you haven't heard that we're the ones covering the stories that you won't see covered anywhere else? In Venezuela, Kazakhstan, let's go to Hong Kong. And the media reaction to that has been crickets. How about the way we cover those stories? What the hell does that mean? Huawei. That's the key word in this case, uprising. Keep? Can you believe that? Watching. This is the right thing for members of the media to do, to actually pick sides. Look, if you like what you see, subscribe.